Good evening and welcome to the Irvine International Academy regular board meeting. It is 6:01 p.m. We're located at Irvine International Academy, 4782 Karen Ann Lane, Irvine, California, 92604. I'd like to start with roll call. Molly?
Here.
Felipe?
Here.
Brett, myself, is present. David?
Present.
Thank you all for being in attendance. Moving on to the next item, approval of the agenda for the regular meeting of the Irvine International Academy Board of Directors on August 19, 2025. It's recommended the Board of Directors approve the agenda for the regular meeting of the Irvine International Academy Board of Directors today, August 19, 2025. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, David. Is there a second? Thank you, Molly. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say nay. Hearing none, it passes. Moving on to community input on closed session agenda items. Members of the public may comment on items listed on the closed session agenda only. Public comments, including emailed comments, shall be limited to 3 minutes per comment with up to 20 minutes of public comment. Are there any public comments?
There are none.
Thank you. Next, we'll move to closed session for discussion of possible action. This involves public employee evaluation of our executive director. We shall reconvene in approximately 40 minutes. Since we just emerged from closed session, it is 7:16 p.m. The report out is that we did unanimously approve the executive director evaluation rubric that we will be using for Dr. Henry. I would like to add some comments and just let the public know. We did take the template that we used with our prior ED and then we enhanced it with some areas based on feedback that was received last school year. And that specifically, we increased the weighting. So we have different weights based on the priorities that have been identified. There are 5 of them. 3 of them are directly tied to the LCAP. The particular item is in relationship to parent support and engagement, and we've increased the weighting on that. And the way that that will manifest itself, in addition to some other support activities that have been identified, we have some regular surveys that are part of the LCAP, but then we will also have some intermittent surveys that are provided as more of a temperature check throughout the school year, which will help give us some better indications of how things are going with respect to the school community. Okay, moving on, we have the very important flag salute. Do we have any volunteers?
I volunteer.
All right, thank you, Felipe.
Please face our flag here. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Next, I'd like to move to community input on agendized items and non-agendized items. The public may comment on items listed on the agenda, including the consent calendar, presentation, discussion, committee, and action items. The public may also comment on items not listed on the agenda that are within the legal purview of the Board of Directors. Do we have any public comments?
We do not.
Thank you. Moving on to the next item, items for consent. We've got 2 items here. Approved minutes from the regular meeting of the IIA Board of Directors on July 22nd, 2025, and approve the personnel reports. Recommended the Board of Directors approve consent items A and B. Is there a motion?
I'll motion to.
Thank you, Felipe. Is there a second? Thank you, Molly. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say nay. Hearing none, it passes. Moving on to the items for presentation. We've got our school update by Principal Schmitter.
Good evening, everyone. So I have a few updates I'm going to give. So as many of you know, that we had our first day of school. I would say overall it was a success. In terms of the operation, it went smoothly. Obviously, on the first day of school, we always kind of expected traffic and parking to be very high. So if you were here that first day in the morning, it was a lot of people. It's typically more families park and walk in, take the pictures. And then starting the next day, we saw obviously it lightened up a little bit. And so now between drop off and pickup, it is going relatively smoothly. In terms of rostering, students lining up, our student transitions, we've seen big improvements from last year. If you are in the school during the school day, you definitely will notice a change in the volume. Just in the hallways, students walking through the classroom, even students in the classroom. So we've definitely made that a focus this year, and we've seen that pay off so far. A little bit more on parking. I'm sure many of you are aware that the city has added those no stopping signs in front of the school. Originally, they had communicated to us it was going to be more on the corner closer to Yale up into our lot, but the city extended those no stopping signs to all the way through the whole front of the school. That was a surprise to us, and they did not notify us about that. So when families told us about that on the first day of school, we reached out to Irvine PD, and so their head of their parking division in the area has been working with us, Officer Patel. He was out here for a few days last week. He'll continue to come out and check. Also, the Irvine Traffic Engineering Department visited with us on Friday to kind of hear from us what some of the concerns were. What they want to do is they want to give it some time. They wanted to give it, they say 2 months. We want to get at least a few weeks just to see the patterns, see how it affects people. And so they're not dead set on that having to be that, but they don't want to just change things quickly. So in terms of that parking strip, we're working on that. But what we have been doing too is looking at traffic in the area. So the other day I was in the back of the school. Not many know about that entrance on the backside. I think one of you know, you call it your little secret. But it's a quieter neighborhood, so if you want to park and walk, it's not much closer, but it's a lot quieter. The traffic is lighter. So we're just kind of observing that, seeing if communicating that to our families. But we are working with Irvine on that. So that's where that's at right now.
Did they give a reason why? You know, it's funny how you say that they don't want to make a big change quickly, but
Yeah.
that's exactly what they did, right? Did they say why they're
Yeah.
doing this?
So they said there's 2 reasons. The first reason was there's that crosswalk in front of the school. And what they said that when you have cars parked there, it blocks the visibility of people in the crosswalk, and that's a safety concern. And then the second reason they talked about was the width of the street. With people parking on both sides, there's a lot of safety concerns because people will stop, try to park, cutting around, going opposite traffic. So they say that it creates a lot of safety concerns.
You know, I gotta tell you, it was the width of the street, right?
That's part of it.
So I live in a neighborhood where there's a school just like this, right there, and the width of our street, and actually I took a picture of it, it's 5 feet narrower than that one.
Yeah.
And there's no signs, there's nothing. And it's been like that for 50 years. And this street here, I know you, I'm just telling you that I'm very upset about this because this street has been here for 50 years in this school. And all of a sudden,
Yeah,
you
so
know, they've done this.
So what triggered it was a recent law that passed if you're about stop signs and not parking within a certain distance of a stop sign. So that way you look at the corner from, was it Karen Ann to Yale?
Okay.
So that's what started the conversation, but then from there they kind of looked at the whole area and that's where that.
I'm not buying it because that stop sign doesn't go away after 9 a.m. It's still there. So in reality, if what they're doing, they should have no parking on that whole strip all day long to facilitate that stop sign issue you're talking about, or the crosswalk issue.
The crosswalk issue too. The crosswalk is related to school traffic. So that was their explanation.
It could be that somebody could park there after 9 a.m. and that could be a problem for that crosswalk.
Yeah,
Right?
but
legally they can park there. And I don't want to get into it with you, but obviously, you know, I've dealt with engineering solutions before,
Yeah.
and these arguments do not make sense. They need somebody, and if you need my help to get involved with them,
please let me know, because what they're saying is not true, in my opinion, and it doesn't make sense. And we can counter those arguments pretty easily.
Yeah, and Officer Patel, the one that's been out, and he's going to continue to come in and observe, and he's there to help kind of educate families, but he's also there too just to see the traffic and see how it goes. And so we had communicated with him on Friday too, is that when he's out there, nobody parks there. But then, what was it like when he's not there? Which he wasn't. He wasn't there yesterday. Today, and it was full of parking. So,
Yeah.
and we asked, and that's why we want to make sure: are we supposed to be enforcing that? He said, no. The school has no role in that. So, it's really this is the city that we have to work with.
I would appreciate that if you keep me informed on this subject, and when you meet with them, let me know,
Okay.
because I'd like to be a little bit more involved, because I don't believe that.
Yeah, we talked about a follow-up in a few weeks. So when that happens, I'll make sure you're included in
As a
that.
matter of fact, I might park there just to get a ticket, so I could go to court and make a big deal about it.
I think they're doing warnings right now, but yeah.
You're not gonna get it reimbursed.
Yeah.
I don't know if
So
Dr.
let me
Henry
know,
will
because
approve
I think it's totally improper what they're doing.
Yeah.
And we can get that solved.
Yeah, I just want to say, I noticed that on the sign that says, from 7 a.m., 9 a.m., and
2 p.m. to
2
4.
p.m. and 4 p.m. And specifically to prevent the parents from parking or stopping there.
Well, that's definitely what it is. They don't want people parking there because they say it creates a safety concern. So
The
that's,
safety concern doesn't go away. The street doesn't get wider. The crosswalk is still there, and this is not a solution we're gonna do here today. But it doesn't go away after 9 a.m. So it doesn't make any sense what they're doing unless they're targeting us.
and then we even
that
brought,
they can't.
and we even brought up the fact that we have early dismissals on Wednesdays where we actually have more traffic. And that
Oh.
doesn't fall in that.
Yeah,
So like, can people park there? They're like, well, yeah, technically.
technically.
So-
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Do you know if we ever had a safety incident there in the 4 years?
Not to my knowledge. I mean, I can't speak before last year. And I think the other side of it is it's not just safety. I think they're also hearing from the community, like the neighbors. So they're trying to find a solution. This was their solution, but they're not saying that this is fixed. They want to work with us, but they don't want to just change it right away.
Who did you meet? So it was Officer Patel,
Mhm.
but who did you meet with was it the traffic?
Yeah, it's I forgot his last name, but his first name is Wyatt. There's 3 of them,
Three.
but Wyatt, his name was Wyatt. I think he was the lead.
If you can get me that name.
I think I do have it somewhere in the email.
Sure, whatever, just let me know.
So we're working on it. Like I said, there's not going to be just a quick fix on that, but we're working on that. In the meantime, we're trying to help facilitate drop off and pick up for our families. All right, moving on. Teacher updates. I know you guys are aware that we had some unexpected open positions open up, but I even have an update to this update that actually today we offered a music teacher and they accepted. So it's a fully credentialed teacher with, I want to say, 7 years experience teaching music, elementary and also middle school. So it's someone who is a really good fit. We're excited about that, so we're going to get them onboarded. We'll work with HR on that. And then also, the other open position was our 5th grade Mandarin position. And so we had a candidate, and there was working out credentialing for Mandarin teachers is always pretty complicated. But yesterday we finally got confirmation that we're good to go. So we're planning for that 5th grade Mandarin teacher to be in the classroom starting Monday. So that's the date that we set today. And so we'll be sending out an update to families. So we'll be back again to fully staffed from a teaching standpoint. And we hope no more changes after that. Next update, after school. So as you know, we've launched our after school program. Giving you an update on that. I believe last time we talked about it, it was before we had started registration. So we've had our families who qualify for ELOT funding go first. And then when we opened up to the school community, we had over 100 inquiries in the first 5 minutes. And then we had 300 families request to be part of that program within the first 30 minutes. So there's a lot of interest, there's a lot of demand. It did start on the first day of school. Overall, the clubs themselves are going well. Right now, we're working on transitions, making sure how to transition from the classroom to the clubs effectively. I will say today, we actually had the best day. We adjusted some of the transition to the classroom and also the dismissal procedures. And so we got positive feedback from our families about that. So it's one of those things, you lay out your plans, not everything happens exactly the way you expect, and you pivot and you adjust, and so far we're making progress on that. So I've been working with Mr. Gio on that. He's been great. If you see him, keep him encouraged. He just gets a lot of questions, and he's talking to a lot of families to start the year. But I'll keep you updated on that. But right now, in our after-school program, we have about 200 students in our after-school clubs. And I know YMCA has they reached over 100 students in their after-school program. Their size has tripled in the last week. So they've experienced that growth. And then Strategic Kids, that information is going to go out soon. We're just waiting for updated flyers from them, and that will be launching. They pushed it back till September, and so we'll be able to see those numbers as well. But right now, we have over 300 kids in our after school at our school, so it's a good number of kids. I think to put it in perspective, last year with Strategic Kids, I think we served closer, I think overall about 200, so 100 more kids per day in our after school programs.
So I got a question about the
Yeah.
YMCA.
Mhm.
And last year, I was involved with the Strategic Kids. Rachel was here, and I could see what was going on. But she's not involved now, so I don't get to see how that works. So for the YMCA kids, I know they're in the other building now, or the old, I'm going to call it the old music
They
building.
use-
or the
yeah.
outdoors. But they're not all in there, right?
No, so they actually have licensed that, and then also a couple of our classrooms right over there, I think rooms 1 and 3.
Oh, across, you mean just right across?
Right across, stay in the same area, but right across from there. So they're utilizing those classrooms. And then they have a very structured program that they can have kids rotate, utilizing the different areas of the school. So like there'll be a group of kids will be inside the classroom, and a group of kids will be playing, and then they'll have a rotation to that. So they're able to accommodate that group because they are very organized.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I guess the morning session happens in the outdoor.
Before school, yes.
The before school
Yeah, because there's
happens
not
in
as
the,
much.
in the old music room. That's
And
right.
then our during our day, the TK group as well.
Happens out there,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. I think I'm gonna come by just to see how that looks like,
Yeah.
right? See if it goes smoothly. Now, I noticed this morning, or this evening, when I came in, the parents were looking to pick up their kids. I don't know if they were really sure what something was happening, was it happening well? So I want to make sure that the parent pickup, the parents are satisfied with the pickup, right? They seemed a little confused,
Yeah.
and they were waiting. So I don't know what was going on there.
Okay. I mean, it just depends on what group they were with.
Yeah.
but-
Yeah, so she's just, I don't know, it didn't look right to me. So maybe that's something when Gio gets back or whatever, how that
It-
program.
Like I said, every day we're making adjustments.
Yeah,
so
I'm
that
sure,
it's
I'm
right.
sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right, we've also, today we actually had our middle school behavior expectations assembly, and tomorrow we'll start with elementary. This kind of goes along with our launch of our Tier 1 for PBIS. It's the training we started last year with Orange County Department of Education. And really it's focused on teaching, reinforcing, and providing support to students. And so it's like, these are our school-wide expectations for our students. We just can't think of it as common sense. We have to directly teach it and then reinforce it. And so that's really what we're doing a lot of this year. And that's you've really seen that in the classroom. We've heard it from teachers. We've heard it from even students themselves that have recognized the difference. So we're really big on that right now. And then lastly, we have our back to school night. It's actually on Thursday. So we have our 2 sessions. First one's at 4 p.m., second one's at 5 p.m. It is the same information in each. So we do that to split up the crowds, but also for families with multiple children, so that they can attend different sessions. So that's what we're doing for that. And then kind of looking ahead, we have our first coffee with the principal on Thursday. So again, one of the big changes this year is we've kind of mapped out calendars and what gets covered at different different coffees with the principals, parent workshops. So that will be this Thursday at 8:30 a.m. in here. The week after that, we have our first parent workshop focusing on volunteers. We do have our No School Labor Day, and then even though it's kind of a ways off, we have our Mid-Autumn Festival celebration on October 8th. It's on Wednesday. It's after school from 2 to 4. So planning's already been underway for that, but I kind of wanted to put that on everyone's radar if you would like to attend. All right. Any questions?
Not a question. It's not a question, just thank you. I understand, you know, the first week of school, I mean, there's a lot. And thank you for being so patient and paying attention to the kids' safety, the police, and the police not easy. I want to ask whether the police, because the school side has been here for a long time.
50 years.
So how did they handle, you know, the traffic before?
Before us?
Or way before that, because this is old school here.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I don't think any of them really know, because I think the ones in the police department now really weren't in that area. So to them, this is a new thing to them. They saw it as really an empty school site. Now it's a full school site.
May I add to that, as a public charter, we have families that come from outside of our neighborhood, where when it used to be a school, it was more of a neighborhood school, so you had more kids walking. And so with any public charter, we have families that come from outside the district, and so it brings more traffic when it's a school of choice.
Right.
Yeah. You know, I would also add that this facility regularly had 600 kids in it. That was normal for this facility. So that's not something new. I know that because I used to live there. I used to live right behind here. And so, you know, all of a sudden, I think part of it is like you said, this officers and the traffic, you know, it's all new to them, but this school, it's nothing new to this area.
But I think the kids a long time ago, they walked to school. They went to school. But I think this is good, you know, it's for the kids' safety no matter what. You know, it's a good problem, it's a new problem that we need to face. So I'm just really thankful, especially in the afternoon too, for the after school one. I mean, going to be three different program going on. But kids will learn. I mean, once you start, you get into routine. So thank you for your effort.
That's what we're doing. We're building the routines right now.
Building routine.
Just have a question. Maybe you know. And do they need any special permission from the city before installing all the signs?
I don't know that procedure, but it was the city who did it. So I don't know what their procedure is for that.
I mean, you know, the point is without a proper due process, that may not be legal. That's, you know, just a comment.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other question is, how many new students are school added in this new school year?
Well, right now, I mean, the numbers are kind of changing daily because beginning of the year, you have a certain number. You don't have those students until they actually show up to school, so you kind of get a drop on the first day, and then we backfill in those spots. So right now, kind of to give you an idea, we're around 595, but we have a number of offers out, and we have a pretty lengthy wait list too. So that number should be up to our budgeted number. And we ended last year at 539. So in terms of new students, that is 66 more students currently. That number expected to go up, but that doesn't account for families who have left.
Gotcha.
So I would say the estimate we have between 100 to 120 new students.
New students.
Students, yeah.
Thank you.
Just wanted to thank you, to you and the staff, the team, for a successful start to the school. And you feel the excitement for sure. So thank you very much. And then I also wanted to plug a book that was put in my daughter's backpack at the end of her school year last year. I think it's called Nothing Rhymes with Orange or something like that. What's the story on that book?
So that was if I remember right, that was a book that for third grade, it was a part of a project they did with their class. But that's a book from Orange County. Doctor, do you remember more of it?
I was given the book as well.
Yeah.
It's in my office, but it was part of like the history of Orange County, part of the curriculum community project. So I know that Miss Bake
Yeah.
for third grade was able to get, as a project that they did, books donated.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, and that was before I
Yeah.
got here, but the books had been donated, and then when she was packing up, she said, oh, our kids all got copies of this book, would you
Okay.
like to read it? And I said, yes, I'd love to read it. So I haven't read it yet, but I have it in my office.
Yeah, so it's excellent, and I think that everyone in Orange County should read it, because it's really well done. I mean, yes, it's written for the elementary kids, but it's an easy read, and it's unbelievably informational about Orange County and the history, so it makes you very proud to be a part of
I
that.
can see if we can continue that, because for third grade social studies, community is kind of the main,
Mhm.
in terms of standards, it's community for third grade, and so that's kind of why it was part of third grade, but we can definitely try to continue that.
Yeah, it's really great. Dr. Bean wrote the foreword of the book, so it was excellent. You'll enjoy it. It's a quick read for those that are not wanting a big, thick book, but it's great. It's great, very
Good to hear.
informational. So anyways, I thought I would just mention it. Thank you very much.
All right.
Can I see a copy?
Somewhere around there, Dr. Henry's.
I think we can get some more copies.
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah,
look at it. I'll talk to the third grade team too. We have, everyone on our third grade team, they're new. So I can make sure that I share with them.
Yeah.
We've been doing a lot, and actually they did get a core syllabus,
Yeah.
but that would be important to share.
yeah, that's very nice. Thank you. Okay, moving on to the next item, 90-day strategic plan. Dr. Henry.
Good evening. As part of my hiring process, I was asked to create a 90 days entry plan, and we're pretty much at the end of the 90 days. So I think it's 3 months and 4 days that I've been here. So I wanted to share an update of the findings and kind of where we're going to go from here. So I'll go through this quickly, but in the beginning of the 90-day plan, I included a listening tour. And that was, my goal was to meet with key stakeholders, asking some core questions. And some of those meetings were one-on-one. Many of them were. Some were with small groups, with leaders. I met with students in the classroom. I met with families. I met overall in that first month with about 50 different individuals. And I had 4 key questions that I asked each group. And the first thing I asked is, tell me 3 things that make IIA amazing and or what is going well. And I'll share with you some of my findings. The second question was, share something that I can work on to improve, or what challenges do you see? The third question is my favorite and elicited some really fun responses. If you had a magic wand, what would you fix, implement, or make happen at IIA to make it better? And then the final question was, what advice do you have for me as I move forward in this role? Depending on who I was meeting with, this was especially with staff, but I would ask, is there someone else I should meet with? Because they might know who other leaders or voices are that I should keep in mind and try to meet with. Also, when it came to our staff, I really wanted to understand, there's one thing to understand a job description, and there's another piece to understand what they're really doing. So I asked, I said, I can read your job description. We're almost shutting down. But what do you actually do? And I learned a lot about our different positions. Thank you. I can keep going now. And then the final one for our staff as well was, what are your personal goals? So that I can see what their long-term goals were and how I could better support them, mentor, and that kind of thing. So of those questions, here were my findings. So the biggest theme that I found about what makes IIA amazing is, and it was reiterated over and over again, was strong, close community, a lot of heart here at IIA. But you can see some of the other pieces that came forward. Our students are great, support that we put in place for our kids, the culture, obviously our strong test scores and enrollment and academic program. You'll see that we've come a long way with implementing policies and procedures. Our staff works well together. A lot of people comment about our parent involvement, parent volunteers are what makes us special, that we're growing. And then the kids, when I said what makes IIA amazing, overall their answer was, we are small and we get to know our teachers and we really appreciate that. So I changed the question a little bit, okay, because I also wanted to know, like, what's the best thing that you've done in or out of the classroom as kind of like a tradition. So they shared that they love field day, and in fact, when I talked to them at that point, we didn't have a field day for the 8th grade kids, and I came back to the team and I'm like, they really love the field day, so let's make it happen so we can get, and we did, we gave them a field day. They loved field trips, the PBIS monthly celebrations, they talked a lot about a water balloon fight, they liked the competitive learning, the science fair, the spelling fair, history day, leadership class, and then I heard about a project in STEAM about building a cabin that they all kind of unanimously thought was really great. Then I moved on to the challenges, and one of the consistent themes is in bold here at top was about communication, making sure that not only are we is it volume of communication, but clarity of communication, and then also following through on the communication. Some of the other challenges is we're small, so a lot of people wear a lot of different hats. A theme I had with some of the staff was classroom management. We really wanted to improve that. Although we love our specialized classroom model, it can be challenging sometimes when you have half the day Mandarin, half the day English, so it wasn't a complaint, it was just, it makes things tight and a bit of a challenge. Understanding when to stay strong and when to make concessions. Some of the other themes were that there's a lot of change and that can be difficult. Transparency, defining terms, getting input. So you can see those were some of the challenges that we had and that were shared. The magic wand question was always very interesting to me, but it was very consistent across groups. And I was surprised that the students were even really consistent with the adults. So one of the key themes was facilities. When I talked about a magic wand, it was more space. Doors came up a lot, having doors. I know Mr. Delgado and I have looked, you have a whole blueprint of doors, but it's pretty pricey. A better parking. Some of the other key themes, if we could just wave a magic wand, would be competitive wages for teachers, better classroom transitions, improving the appearance of the school, giving us a facelift. Some people talked about, well, an unlimited or bigger budget, I think we can all agree upon, replicating our school or expansion, opportunities for teacher growth and more PD. And then it was also said that everything was in place that we hope to put in place. If I had a magic wand, it would all be done. And we know the work is part of the best part. But the kids said, they brought up facilities, bigger school, doors, was came up with our students. They did ask for separate bathrooms with age groups, which is a common thing when you have TK through 8. And they are, for the most part, separate, but really making sure the practices of when people use the restrooms, that's important. Food always comes up, regardless, so more choice. This one surprised me because I was expecting them to say no uniforms, and they did not. I even told them, is this what you mean? And they said yes. They're like, we just wish everyone wore their uniform. And I'm like, huh, okay. And then, but they want a little more choice, maybe adding an additional color to the middle school or something like that. And then they talked about tutoring, and their other piece was they really wanted to be treated like middle schoolers, talked to like middle schoolers, and that's important, I think, especially as we're a K-8. And then finally, when I asked for advice, you can see I just did a little word cloud here of kind of what came up, but it was continue to listen, continue to communicate, stick around, develop partnerships, be strong be consistent and responsive, and things like that. So that was my listening tour and all the things that I found. And again, I think the most important thing was the consistency, and not much surprised me along the way. But I also learned a lot about our community, and I learned a lot about our staff and what their dreams and goals are and how I can better support them. And for our parents, what they want for their students moving forward. So that'll help to direct my work. So here are some key priorities that I put in place, and a lot of these align with the evaluation that we talked about earlier in closed session, but you'll see there's some kind of like very specific things. So I'm going to continue to listen. My goal is to help continue to build trust and relationships, to implement the communication plan, since that was a kind of a big theme coming forward, developing those quarterly surveys for input. I will be establishing the Executive Director Advisory Committee meetings for a year. I really am looking closely at our organizational capacity and alignment, what people do and how they do them, looking to make sure we're maximizing our organization. We have an extra year for the charter renewal, but I do feel it's better to start sooner rather than later, because I want to make sure that those things that are in our charter we're doing with fidelity, that we're implementing our core values, and really make sure if we're taking our time, I can get a lot of feedback, and I think that's going to be really important. Monitoring and aligning our budget to the LCAP goals is a heavy lift, so that's a key priority. Establishing our GATE program, really focusing in on strong instructional practices in the classroom and making sure our programs are strong, curriculum implementation, honoring our past traditions, and then continuing to create fun and meaningful traditions as we move forward. And then also exploring branding opportunities as we move forward to help to promote and just keep a healthy enrollment and get our name out there. So some next steps, I will continue to listen and be available. I will create and distribute the temperature check survey. I will be sending out information. I did calendar the dates today for the Executive Director Advisory Committee, and I'll be putting those out shortly. If the communication plan is approved this evening, then I'll begin implementation, and Blue will talk about that at the first coffee with the principal. Creating tools and capacity to do that budget alignment with LCAP goals so that things match. Continuing to work with our new back office providers, CSMC, to continue to understand current budget and make sure that we continue to work towards long-term stability. I want to establish a who to call list that really details who people can go for when they have different concerns. I don't like it when people are kind of tossed around, so that we know, and people know that there's a direct avenue, but really also supporting our thinking maps training, and implementing a curriculum committee so that we can have conversations around the sexual health curriculum and then also the math curriculum that we'll be looking at this year. And I did in one of my first presentations say we would start that work in January, and that's still the plan. So that'll be coming up within the next month or so, maybe 2 months, starting to get that work together. Reviewing our charter so that I know different areas that we can build as we go through the renewal process in over a year, and then also Prop 39 for our facilities, developing those relationships with Irvine Unified and starting those meetings, which really comes quickly in the fall. So those are proposed next steps. And I just thought a beautiful message when I did all of my kind of going around is someone looked at me and just said, you know, we have something really special going on here. And I have to agree. The first week of school, the week of welcome that we did, the pre-service days before school, they've been wonderful. I couldn't have expected or written it any better if I wanted to. So it's been a great start. And those are the key priorities and what's come out of that 90-day plan. And as another parent told me, I don't get to call myself new anymore. So, so after sharing my 90 days, I'll limit that. But I'm new comment. So, thank you. That's it. Do you have any questions?
I don't have any questions, but I can tell you that you're a big part of why the school's so great. Okay. Just even your 90 days, you've done a great job. And everything that we see in the board and stuff, you know, it's fantastic. You're on the right track. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
for
you.
everything.
I appreciate that.
Definitely, thank you. And I agree, we have something special going on here. You can feel it. And I was here for that, the teachers training, and it was just amazing. It was beautiful here.
Yeah, I don't think your mic's on, but that's okay. I heard you, but about being here for the week of welcome for the training.
It was just amazing, you know, to see the teachers together and you set up those round table. And we start thinking about what we can use with those round table. We can have so many events here. It just, and I met the new teachers. It was just like a huge family. And thank you for your 90 days. And you know, in your planning, I can see you're not just writing down the hopes and dreams for the future, but you, at the same time, you already started doing it. We can see it here.
Oh,
So
thank
thank
you.
you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to comment. I mean, this is great. Great if you have like just like the U.S. president, you know, have one, you know, first 100 days. This is the first 90 days, right?
Yes.
It's great.
Yes.
I see the, you know, I sense the positive momentum. I really feel you know, very good about it, and I think you're on the right track. Okay, congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, I thought it was important to bring it back to you because a lot of times you'll hear,
Yeah.
here's my 90-day plan, and then you don't get any update on what happened.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to bring it back to you.
If we, you know, have a question, you know, if you want, I think you did everything right, you know, by surveying, by listening, communicating with different stakeholders, all right, students, parents, board members, etc. So if you condense all this into a talk, like 3 or 5 things to do, what would come to the top of your mind?
The 5 things to do, I think, are some of the things that are on here, but I'll pull the 5. Continuing to improve communication for clarity, consistency. There are a lot of communication tools, but making sure we're maximizing them and making sure that our families have access to what we're communicating. So that's number 1. Continuing to build culture and community, because we have a lot of events and I want to make them more celebratory and really meaningful. Like, we have a lot, like our Lunar New Year and our Fall Festival, but even to things like orientation, bringing in a sense of community. So I think that's really important. I feel the third most important thing is putting together that outlet, that advisory committee that, by the way, it will not be exclusive. It'll be open to all families or all people that want to come to those advisory committee meetings so that people feel that they have a voice and they're heard. How many was that? 3? Really looking at our classroom instruction. Our teachers, I said this to someone, and I hope that they play the game well, they play along. They're so wonderful. When I would show a strategy, they were all on board instead of like being a little bit hesitant. And then we saw those strategies all the first week. Like, they're just soaking it up. So I think really continuing that in the classroom is going to be really important to move us forward. And I'm probably missing something really, really important, but really looking at, well, budget.
The doors.
Oh, the doors. We've got to improve the budget by a lot to get the doors. But you know what we did do? Working with our PTO, that's been wonderful as well. And they provided each teacher with $300 at the beginning of the year to do what they wanted. And we gave an example, and a lot of the classrooms bought dividers, or what? Am I using the right word? Yeah, dividers to put almost like a door. We did have to buy one really fancier one because we have a student with a need, a hearing need, so we wanted to make sure that that classroom, the sound worked well, but a lot of our teachers were able to bring that, and it gives them that sense of privacy. So it's a temporary fix, but yeah.
Well, I'm temporarily happy.
Okay. Thank you.
That's a great list, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thanks so much.
Yeah, great energy, great presentation. You're very thoughtful about ways that we can improve and build on what has been done. You've listened, it's clear you've listened, so thank you. Thank you for your transparency. I think you're very transparent with us. I feel like you're very transparent with the community. So continue the great effort, and we've got great momentum for this year, so thank you to you and the team.
All right, thank you so much.
Okay, moving on to the next financial update and unaudited actuals. Mr. Jones, are you there?
Yes, I am. Good evening, folks.
Good evening. Thank you for your patience.
Yes, no problem at all. And welcome back. Can someone allow me to share really quickly, please?
You should be able to share now.
Perfect. Okay. All right, so we're going to discuss the unaudited actuals and the fiscal year ending June 2025. I did, just for the sake of something you're familiar with looking at, put the unaudited actuals in just a quick board report format, but I do have this also as well. If you can see this is the unaudited actuals itself. So I'll start here with how we finished the year, which is really what the unaudited actuals are all about. And if you were here last year or the year before, you know that this is the unofficial financial statement that we submit to your authorizer and also to the state of California. And then this will be backed up and followed up with the audit later on in the year. So just a quick overview of what's going on here. And I'll page down really quickly so we can get to it. So in the month of June, we received roughly 1.6 million in revenues, and that's really accruing all of the outstanding revenue line items that were due at the end of June but not yet received. So all in total, 1.6 million in terms of revenues that we received and or accrued for the year. On the expenditure side, since school was out pretty early in June, less in terms of expenses related to June, 656,000 all in. You can see those components here broken down. 53% of that salaries and benefits, another 25% in operational costs, books and supplies, 15%, etc. Year-to-date revenues, and now this is when we sort of look at the totality of the unaudited actuals. Year-to-date revenues, and I will definitely show you the compared to the budget, how well we did or did not do. So that will give you a little bit more context in just a few more slides. 7.9 million in total revenues. 77% of that was your LCFF revenues. Another 3%, 206,000 was your federal dollars. 16% or 1.2 million were for other state revenues, and then we had local revenues of 362,000. On the expenditure side, we spent 6.6 million. Roughly 66% of that was salaries and benefits. Another 9% was books and supplies. Operational costs were 1.5 million, and other outgo related to borrowing, interest, etc. Was 124,000, roughly 2% of our budget. Let's kind of look at the total budget compared to our actuals here, and we performed really well considering. As you can see here, we had total revenues, I mentioned, of 7.9 million. We had initially budgeted at our second interim for 7.7 million, so that's roughly 274,000 more. In terms of our overall expenditures, we budgeted 7.1 million. We wound up spending 6.6 million. So that leaves us with net income of roughly 1,347,000, which is awesome, compared to our 24-25 second interim budget, where we had conservatively budgeted 509,000 in terms of our net income at the end of the year. So we did extremely well in terms of our net income and just our overall managing our expenses relative to our revenues. So you can see here on the balance sheet, and I'll show you this later on the interim reports when I go back through that. Our total assets here is 1.67 million. You can see the amount we have in cash here, roughly about 700,000. We had 871,000 in liabilities. If you add that together back in with our beginning fund balance from ending last June of a deficit of 743,000, add back in our 1.3 million in the change in net assets, our net income puts us positive back to where we should be, to the tune of $796,000 in terms of our total net assets ending June 30th, 2025. Cash-wise, as I mentioned, we have 702,000. This was at the end of June. You can see the breakdown of that there. Cash in the treasury was 430. We had roughly 156,000 in the Endeavor account. The Cafe Bank had 115,000 as well. And also, as I want to go back and just show you that we did pay off right at the end of June. We did pay off the land donate amount, and I'll bring that up a little closer so you can see that line item here. So that has been paid off. So we paid back that money that we borrowed from land donate, and the only related expense here related to that is the line of credit that's on the books for $375,000. So really good job in terms of paying down those liabilities at the end of June, which was really good for the school in terms of moving forward. I will stop sharing that and share the unaudited actuals. And if there are any questions, you guys can pause and ask away. But I will switch over to the unaudited actuals. And most of you all, and I think all of you all have seen this before. This is the cover page here that we'll have signed once this board meeting is over. Stephanie, I'll make sure you get this. Actually, I think you do have it. You can go ahead and sign once this is over and submit to your authorizer. And I will then tomorrow morning submit the SACS version of the unaudited actuals once the board approves. As I mentioned earlier, the unaudited actual gives you a breakdown of those revenues and expenses that I just went over. And you can see here they do correspond to what's here in terms of our 6.1 million in LCFF revenues, the 206,000 in federal dollars, 1.2 million in state dollars, and 362,000 in local revenues. Puts our total revenues at 7,981,000. And here you can see the breakdown of our expenditures in terms of teacher salaries, classified salaries, related benefits of 849,000. You can see our program costs here in the various categories that are aligned with those, 591,000. And again, our operational costs here, 1.5 million. And then our interest payments here, debt service was $124,000. Altogether, 6.6 million, subtracting our revenues from our expenses, and again, that leaves us with 1.3 million in net income for the year. As it stands on our balance sheet, you can see here, this is where we finished June of 2024. We were operating with a deficit in terms of our fund balance of 555,000 deficit. Adding back the 1.3 million here puts that 796,337 in terms of our ending fund balance at June 2025. Just below this are just the components of our ending fund balance. And below that, you can see here our cash in the treasury, in our operating accounts, our receivables that we've booked to the tune of 949,000. Our capital assets here are $16,000 plus our total net assets at 1.6 million. And then subtracting out our liabilities of 871,000, as I mentioned before, puts our ending fund balance in June at 796,337. I will pause there and take any questions that you may have.
Hey, Delano, I got a quick one for you. So if I'm reading this correctly, you know, our original interim budget was, we were expecting to be at 500,000 at the end of the year, but we actually exceeded that, right? So our interim budget, our actuals, or I should say unaudited actuals, actually our net income is much better positioned. And I didn't notice, does that include, or is the payoff of the loan already calculated in here? So we've got the loan paid off also, right?
Yes, on the balance sheet, as you can see here, that liability is totally gone, Felipe. This 9643 object code that you see here for this lend donate amount, as you can see, that's zero because that was paid off late June, I believe. A few days before June was over, we were able to go ahead and pay that back per the contract or the agreement with Endeavor Bank. So that was paid off, as you can see here.
So I mean, that's, I don't want to say that's hidden, but that's a big plus for us, because not only did we exceed our estimated assets.
Yes, your ending balance.
Your ending balance, but we've also paid off the loan.
Absolutely. Plus paying that off, absolutely, yes. That was a plus in terms of just all of those things coming together and being able to time-wise in terms of being able to do that. But we were anticipating to do that anyway sometime between June and July. So it really was just good timing to be able to do that to close out the year, not have that carry forward into the next fiscal year. But it would have been paid off.
It would have been paid off anyway, but we're still looking pretty good after the payoff even. So we're in a much better financial position than we've been for a while.
Yeah, this is a good starting point, and the objective going forward then is to build upon this, right? And so it's not just today, but what you do in this fiscal year and the subsequent fiscal years to come, that will tell the story of how well you're managing your expenses, how well you're looking at your overall costs. Excuse me, and then also, you know, I heard you guys speak earlier about enrollment, student numbers, because those are always the driving factors in terms of revenues coming to the school. So managing high enrollment is always going to be the key to your success.
Yeah, thanks, Delano.
No worries, thank you.
Yeah, I just want to get a clarification. Did you mean, we have, basically, are we taking any line for credits? Did I know?
Yes. You asked a question about the line of credit? didn't you?
Yes, yeah. Yeah, how much are we taking?
Well, you have up to 375,000,
Right.
and I don't, you did not use any at the end of June. I don't know if any of that was used in July or not, but at the end of June, you had the 375, and you did not use any of it.
Okay.
Towards the end of June.
Okay, I recall like two board meeting, a July board meeting, right? Two board meetings. Go. Okay. That's great,
The
thank you.
new back office will be able to speak to that, whether or not you pulled any cash out of that or dipped into that fund.
Okay.
In July, I would not be able to
Yeah.
tell, but I think.
Thank you, Dylan.
Yes, you're welcome.
Hi, Delano, this is Brett. I have a question regarding line item on the balance sheet. This is 9642, that CSRLF loan. I was just
Yes.
curious when we think we will pay that off. I know, if I remember right, it's
So
pretty low
you
interest
have-
rate.
So I believe you have until 2029. I'm gonna check the schedule really quickly. To tell you exactly when, I have that at my disposal here, so.
And that was
You're
originally
scheduled to pay off the charter school revolving loan, and I'll share this again.
was that 250K?
Yes, you're scheduled to pay that off at the end of this fiscal year. So at the end of June, you'll pay 2026, you will have paid that off.
Okay, thank you. I also didn't want to miss the opportunity to thank you for your many years of service with us. I think it's been 4 years, if I'm not mistaken, right? Or even before. I think you were probably even supporting us beforehand, so maybe even 5 years.
Yeah. I've been around since this was an idea.
Yeah. So I just wanted to thank you very much. You know, I know we get into the
Oh, yes,
details
sir.
here, and you patiently wait for us to get through all our jabbering before you chime in for your financial update. But thank you very much for sticking by us and for your many years of service with us.
100%, it was my pleasure, and I certainly wish you all the best of luck. I'm always pulling for IIA. You guys do hold a special place in my heart, and I thank you for the opportunity to have served you all for these years. And I know that the school will have nothing but tremendous success because it has great leaders, not only with Stephanie and Grant, but also at the board level. You four now, there were 5. You 4 now are exceptional leaders, and you guys are in the right place to take the school to the next level. So thank you very much for that, and I certainly appreciate our time together.
Thank you, and I'm so glad you were able to see a really healthy, hopefully you would consider it to be a really healthy P&L, right? So,
Thank you, Dylan.
So absolutely.
Thank you.
I wanted nothing but the best for the school this year because I knew that there were plenty of folks who were looking at this school to fail, but certainly there was no stopping its success, so I'm really happy for that.
We appreciate your support, everything in your service. And I also noticed over the past 4 years, you haven't grown any gray hairs yet. That's the positive
they're
sign.
here, David, trust me. They're hard to see on camera, but they're here. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I certainly appreciate my time with you all, and best of luck with the school this year. So thank you so much.
if you're in the neighborhood, don't be afraid to stop by. We'd love to see you.
I will not be a stranger, I promise.
Yeah, please.
I just wanted also to say thank you to Delano for his service, and also to let the board know we will continue to work with Delano. He's still supporting us with the audit and some other pieces, and I just want to thank you. In the short time that I've known you, we've had great conversations, and actually your follow-through has been very helpful to me moving forward, and I know we'll continue with some of these accountability pieces as well as the audit. So thank you for that.
Thank you, folks. I so appreciate it. Thank you all.
Okay, moving on to the next item, back office provider update, Mr. Miller.
Good evening, everyone, and I'm realizing I'm a little dark here, so I'm going to turn off my camera, and it's not because I'm being rude, it's just my lighting is not built for this. So, but tonight we are going to go over kind of how CSMC has been supporting IIA. So let me go ahead and share, and thank you, Grant, in advance for giving me access. So this will be a relatively short one. We're just going to really be talking about what we've been doing to support IIA through the transition. So starting right off, we have a bi-weekly standing call. So, you know, how are we communicating to ensure a smooth transition during this time of change? We meet bi-weekly. So, you know, we all know things can get lost in email. A lot of this is we get as close to face-to-face as we possibly can. We triage all of our items, we have a set agenda, and we really go through, you know, every item that's happened in the past 2 weeks and just have a really productive meeting. We have one today, in fact. And then after those meetings, I always send up kind of a follow-up email talking about what we discussed, looking at any action items, and really kind of project managing that whole situation. So that's kind of the first point here. The second thing CSMC has done is we've implemented 3 new and 1 not so new system. So first is Purify, and that's completely new. To kind of spare you the longer text, a lot of this is going to be faster invoice processing with really strong internal controls. Purify also is it's a fully automated AP system. So you'll have a full audit trails for any payments that you submit in there, and it syncs automatically with our new accounting system, Intact. So Intact is a real-time accounting software. So with this, anyone who has a password can go in and immediately check in on financials. It's just really great for transparency, for reporting, for pulling any documents. It's really kind of that 21st century accounting software, which is great. And then lastly, we have Paycom, which I know Delano and his team used. I think just we made very minor tweaks there. I know there were some onboarding manual spreadsheets that our team implemented some automations for. It pretty much allows real-time tracking for payroll and personnel changes. And then also, that we implemented this employee mobile access for any updates to their account or any pay history, which definitely we've seen some success in. So then we have our cash flow report. So I know this has been a point of contention with IIA, so I want to make some special time for it. What you're seeing here are kind of screenshots from our weekly cash flow reports that we do. So what they essentially are is we look at, hey, here's how much cash we have in the bank account right now, and we say, okay, based on how much AP you guys currently are holding and your payroll, here's where we think you're going to be at the end of the month. And if cash ever looks short, what we can do is we can hold AP. And we even had this discussion today. It's how we open our standing calls for accounting. So when we get to the accounting session, we always go through it together with Dr. Henry and Mary Beth. And we go through that, and today even we decided to hold some things that aren't just due yet, just to make sure we keep an eye on the cash flow because payroll's coming in because of how many new students you have. There's that increase in payroll, so we're kind of waiting on those first numbers after the first payroll cycle of the new year to kind of check in on those numbers, mainly because we just don't have the historical data for it. But yeah, so that's going really smoothly. And then I also wanted to mention that Dr. Henry and I will begin the process of updating the budget. We're meeting actually tomorrow, and we're gonna, really, I'm gonna walk her through kind of CSMC's process through and how we build out a budget. So we're going to, pull a lot of the great work that Delano's already done, and we're going to kind of incorporate it in a way that works for CSMC, and I think, will be an efficiency as we move forward. And then lastly, I think there was an ask for, kind of a bit about what CSMC provides. So I just wanted to go over kind of and give the board a little blurb about, kind of the 4 main areas we oversee. So, me personally, I'm going to be your, point of contact and the head of your SBM services, which is the School Business Manager Services. A lot of what I do is kind of that CFO level oversight and financial strategy. We do cash flow monitoring, we do forecasting, we do budget and scenario planning, and I take care of a lot of your compliance work. So, for instance, the UARs that Delano pulled up there, that will fall under kind of my responsibility. Next, we kind of have payroll, which is pretty self-explanatory, but that's just going to be anything payroll related. So, CalSTRS reportings, 403Bs, AP processing. So all of that stuff is going to be kind of payroll there. For the accounting services, that is going to be the AP processing, the bank reconciliations, the month closes, payroll processing, releasing any of the payments we have in Procurify. So that's going to be mainly our accounting department. And student data, again, is going to be responsible for the CalPads, definitely helping in the CalPads reporting. I know you guys are transitioning over to Aries, so, kind of doing that kind of report preparation with the IIA team to make sure that you guys have on-time and accurate submissions to make sure, you get that LCFF funding, which is crucial to charter schools. So, and that's really it. I know that was kind of quick. Are there any questions for me?
Thank you, Mr. Miller. We appreciate the overview and excited to work with yourselves and see how we can learn from you and improve our systems. So thank you very much for the opportunity to be supported by CSMC.
Yeah, no, thank you guys, and very excited to work with IIA. I think it's been going extremely well given the amount of change that's happening. I gotta say the strong UARs are a fantastic indication of where the school is trending. So, we're definitely hoping to continue that trend and keep you guys on the right track.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep, no problem. Have a nice night, everyone.
You too. Okay, moving on to items for discussion and possible action. First item, approve 2024-25 unaudited actuals. Education Code Section 42100B requires that each charter school approve in a format prescribed by the Superintendent of Public Instruction an annual statement of all receipts and expenditures of the charter school for the preceding fiscal year and shall file the statement with the entity that approved the charter school. LCAP goal, action not applicable, funding source not applicable, budget financial impact not applicable. It's recommended the Board of Directors approve action item A. Is there any discussion needed here?
No, this is the document itself that that Delano presented will be signed and submitted to our charter, as well as it's implemented through a digital system that Delano will be doing for us if and when it's board approved.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion?
I'll motion so.
Thank you, Felipe. Is there a second? Thank you, Molly. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say nay. Hearing none, it passes. Okay, next item, approve 2026-2027 school calendar in alignment with surrounding districts and observed holidays. IIA has created the 2026-27 master calendar. This calendar is published approximately 1 year prior to the start of the designated school year in order to provide adequate time for planning and facilities use requests. The calendar was reviewed to ensure that Lunar New Year dates were reflected accurately. LCAP goal action not applicable, funding source not applicable, budget financial impact not applicable. It's recommended the Board of Directors approve action item B. Any comments?
We had this on the board agenda last time. It was pulled because after it was posted, there were some comments that perhaps it wasn't matching with the Lunar New Year, so we had several people look at it. We feel that it is now aligned. and ready for approval. Once it's approved, we will put it up on our website, so it will be available a year in advance to our families.
I just have a question. So now the total days of school is 189, is that new?
No, so when I went through, that is a work calendar that you have up.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the one of the work calendars that has 189 days, but the school calendar is still 180 days.
Okay, thank you.
There's a lot of documents in there.
Thank you.
Yes.
Is the work calendar relevant to an item for tonight?
Yes,
Okay, so we will discuss it at some point.
Yes.
Is that right? Okay. all
yes.
right. Okay, so any other comments on the 2026, 2027 school calendar? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Felipe. I'm happy to second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say nay. Hearing none, it passes. Next item, approve Board Policy 5125, Record Retention Policy. This revision updates the policies and procedures regarding record retention to include the most recent state and federal laws and guidelines. It also has been updated to reflect new technology and safeguard procedures regarding retention of pupil records. LCAP goal, action not applicable, funding source not applicable, budget financial impact not applicable. It's recommended the Board of Directors approve action item C. Any comments?
Yes, so this is one of the required board policies for us to approve, and that we will be submitting to OCBE as part of our compliance. If you look at the previously approved policy, it was 22 pages long, and that was because it included the administrative regulation. So when we redlined it for you, we went ahead and took out, because it is not required that the board approve the administrative regulation tonight, we thought we'll just do the board policy. Many of our board policies don't have an administrative regulation, so I believe that will be kind of the next step, is to go through all of our, we call them ARs, and that really is, your board policy is the policy, the AR is how do you implement it, like what do we do as administrators to make it happen. So because that wasn't required to be approved tonight, and really there were only 2 extra sections when after I crossed out all of the AR portion, the board policy didn't change very much. And so, and since that was the required piece, we decided that was the piece to include on the board agenda.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Is there a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Molly. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Felipe. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say nay. Hearing none, it passes. Okay, next, approve the 2025-2026 IIA Communication Plan. IIA has developed a communication plan to provide a clear, proactive plan for how information will be shared, to ensure consistency of response times, and to ensure communication is timely, consistent, and aligned with IIA goals. LCAP goal, action goal 3, action 5. Funding source not applicable, budget financial impact not applicable. It's recommended the Board of Directors approve action item D. Any further comments on this?
Just that we have presented this through our board updates for your review. We've taken comments. It has also been shared somewhat with our cabinet level as well as our instructional leadership team, some of the components. And so it has gone through several iterations, and I do see it as something that even as we implement, it will be a working, living, breathing document, because the way we communicate is always changing, and then our platforms for communication are changing as well. But I think this is a great start, and once it's approved, it really will be about making sure that it is implemented with fidelity and happening.
Any comments, questions? I just want to make one comment and to thank you for allowing us an opportunity to provide input into that and for being responsive to our feedback. And I appreciate in the communication plan, it's something I've been talking about for a while now, that we have response times. in the expectation of when we respond to individuals that communicate with us. So thank you very much. It's hopefully very clear now.
And yeah, the next step is really to not only to bring this forward so that our staff understand the expectations, but then also we talked today about going into our next iteration of the staff handbook, that these response times are also in the staff handbook and partially in the student family handbook, as in this should be what you expect. So it really is about taking all of these plans, because there's a lot of plans,
Yeah.
and making sure that they all align.
Perfect, thank you. Is there a motion? Thank you, Molly. Is there a second? Thank you, David. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say nay. Hearing none, it passes. Next item, E, approve the 2025-2026 IIA Master Plan for English Learners. IIA Master Plan for English Learners has been revised to include updated reclassification procedures, as well as updates to ensure that it accurately reflects the current IIA English Learner Program and is aligned to state and federal laws and education code. LCAP Goal Action, Goal 1, Action 8, funding source not applicable, budget financial impact not applicable. It's recommended the Board of Directors approve action item E. Any comments?
Yes, you'll see that this is required, that our master plan for English learners, as well as our master plan in the next item for students with disabilities, were updated. And so I did work with both Ms. Brown as well as Mr. Fernandez, who oversee both of those departments, to make sure that we are updating what needs to be updated. And I think we're going to take a deeper look as we go into the next iteration of this being approved, of like maybe some other improvements to the plan, but we wanted to make sure that we are compliant, and then we will be uploading both of these as well for OCDE at the end of the month.
Thank you. Comments, questions? Is there a motion?
I'll motion so.
Thank you, Felipe. I'm happy to.
I'll second.
Thank you, David. All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. Hearing none, it passes. Approve the 2025-2026 IIA Master Plan for Students with Disabilities. The IIA Master Plan for Students and Disabilities has been revised to include updates and ensure that it accurately reflects the current IIA program for students with disabilities and is aligned to state and federal laws and education code. LCAP Goal Action, Goal 1, Action 9, funding source not applicable, budget financial impact not applicable. It's recommended the Board of Directors approve action item F. Any comments?
My only comment here is the updates really were minimal for this one. It's more of a historical document is what I noticed. There was a lot of history about the SELPA and the contract, but we did update with some new service providers that we have, as well as leadership names. So they were minor for this one.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? I'm happy to make a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Felipe. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say nay. Hearing none, it passes. Item G, approve revision to the speech language pathologist work calendar. The board approved speech language pathologist salary schedule is aligned with the teacher salary schedule with the stipend. Previously approved work calendar for the SLP is aligned with the administrative work calendar. It's recommended the SLP work calendar align with the approved teaching calendar. LCAP Goal Action, Goal 1, Action 2, funding source not applicable, budget financial impact not applicable. It's recommended the Board of Directors approve action item G.
So previously, I know our board worked very hard last year to approve salary schedules, as well as to approve work calendars and other pieces. And you can see one of those that's in the board folder is redlined, and the other is what it would look like moving forward with approval. So when we were reviewing these, the salary schedule for the SLP is the certificated teacher salary schedule with a stipend that was previously approved by the board. However, what we had posted as the work calendar was an administrative work calendar and not a teacher. It wasn't aligned with the salary schedule. So we wanted to make this change in order to align, since it is the teaching salary schedule, with the teaching work calendar.
So I'm trying to bring up the So,
Working a lot of days there, like 180.
Yes, and that's an administrative calendar, and that was therefore, that was the issue, is that it was aligned to a teaching salary schedule, and it didn't seem to fit with an administrative work calendar.
so this is specifically given to the speech and language pathologists,
Yes,
right?
this was the only one
Yeah.
that we found the misalignment when we
Okay.
were reviewing, and so
Okay.
we wanted the board to approve us to better align the work calendar with the salary
Okay.
schedule.
Do we, for the other work calendars, do we typically identify positions?
We do not. There are a few standalone positions that, for the work calendar, that are unique
Yeah.
jobs.
Okay. Okay, questions, comments? Nope, okay. Is there a motion? Thank you, Molly. Is there a second? Thank you, David. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say nay. Hearing none, it passes. Item H, approve Thinking Maps, Inc. agreement. Thinking Maps is a whole school commitment designed to build foundational critical thinking, problem-solving, comprehension, and communication skills necessary for academic success. 8 maps, which correlate to core cognitive processes, provide a common language for learning that will align our dual immersion program, serve as a foundation for a rigorous writing program, and improve academic outcomes for students. The cost is $18,192.40 and includes 1 in-person training for all staff in November, 2 follow-up 3-hour training sessions, materials and training for 2 IIA teachers to become trainer of trainers. LCAP Goal Action, Goal 1, Action 7, funding source LCFF, budget financial impact $18,192.40. Recommended the board of directors approve action item H. Comments?
I will say that this did come under the budget of a half. We had budgeted about $40,000 in the LCAP for this training, and so very happy after reaching out to one of the coordinators that it was $18,000, and it also included the longevity by including that 2 of our teachers will get, that we choose, will be trained as trainer of trainers, meaning as new staff come in, we don't have to go back to the company. They grow, it'll grow within itself, and so it's a whole package deal. So I was very excited to see that, how it was written, the agreement.
Where did this come from?
So this Thinking Maps is something that I know that Dr. Kernan had been looking at. It was already written into the LCAP, and that was right when I got here. The LCAP was already in process, and it is. I mentioned it actually in my interview, I believe, and I remember Molly had a very positive reaction to that. But it is it's research based. It's something that I've seen implemented even way back when I was a principal, and you see tremendous growth in the way that students can think. It just by nature of how students start to process and answer questions, test scores improve. You see a lot of improved outcomes along the way. So research-based strategy that will build to a writing program, but it in this initial first-year implementation, it will help to improve writing, but there's other components we can continue to stack on, and we'll take that one step at a time, of different writing components that I think will just transform a lot of things here at IIA.
I'll just say something. I'm just so thrilled that we're using this. So I've used this in my classroom for many, many years when it first came out. So it's not just going to enhance the writing, because so kids usually take notes. I mean, we usually take notes as just our bullet points, right? And for a student, for young kids, quite often they just copy everything. But the thinking map actually helping student while you're reading, where they identify, are they comparing, are they telling stories, there are sequence, so it goes into, so it's going to help reading comprehension as well, because when we're reading, you identify the key phrases, and so basically your notes will be, math. So they have 8 different maps. One is for comparison, one is for sequencing. So there's a lot of critical thinking going through while you're reading just a regular article.
And it's
So-
also aligned vertically,
Yes.
so it's something that we roll out in TK and K. There's a parent communication component, how we say to parents, like, this week we're looking at this map, here's what this means, here's how kids are thinking with it. So it's a very comprehensive program, and if rolled out correctly, which I've seen it done and I've done that before, it becomes what we do, and it happens pretty quickly. I think after a really good full year implementation going into next year, you can walk into classrooms that are TK, K, they're using circle maps, they're learning how to think based on the questioning.
That's fantastic. So is the program applicable to all grades, not necessarily all grades?
All grades and all subjects. So this first training, just the basic thinking maps, will be all subject areas across the board. And I really think with our dual immersion program, it's a common tool that could be used with Mandarin
Mhm.
and with English. And I think will help to align those programs as well.
Gotcha. So it's applicable to all grades and also teachers, right?
Yes,
So the teachers will receive training from the
yes.
trainers, the 2 teachers, right?
Well, the company will come in and do the initial training, and then 2 teachers, and I've already shared this with leadership, and really, I'm gonna be looking for people who are really excited and passionate about it, and then those 2 will have the opportunity to be trained a little further, and then they become official trainers as well, and that's all included, and then if we have new staff come in next year, they can then train those teachers, and we won't have to purchase this part with the company. Now, if we do choose to implement, let's say next year, the narrative writing component, which would not be all teachers, it would be just English teachers, it wouldn't be math or PE or music, but the basic thinking maps that we're doing this year is for everyone.
Okay, so how long is the training program, training session?
So the plan is for the all-day PD in November, so we won't have to pay subs, anything like that, no additional costs. We have a full day, and they would come in on that November day and do the 1 day of training, and then you allow for some initial implementation, teachers to try, teachers to experiment, and then there'll be 2 follow-ups. We haven't planned those yet, but one would most likely be in January and one would be in either February or March. And then that's where you get your base of full implementation, step by step throughout the year, and then we decide to build.
So the training materials basically can be copied,
They're very strict about that. They're books that each
books.
teacher will receive a book, and each book will cover how to use the maps at different grade levels, so that actually if I'm a 3rd grade teacher, I can, with my materials, I can look at how they're used in 2nd grade, as well as how 4th grade we'd use them, so we have vertical alignment as well.
Gotcha. So by paying 18,000, do we receive a site license to the materials?
We will receive, each teacher will receive a copy of the book, the training, and then there is a computer component that comes with it initially, so that teachers can actually like log into the computer and create maps. If they want to create a map about the Grand Canyon, teaching, something that they're teaching, they can make those. That comes with the initial implementation. I know when I've done this before, we dropped the electronic component after we got good at it, but we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see how our teachers like it and go from there. But that license does come with the initial training.
This sounds pretty exciting. Is there an opportunity for the board to have like a demo or something so we could see it?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I'd like to see
I
what
wanna
the
be
kids.
sitting there.
Yeah. Okay.
Well,
I'd like
first
to
of
see
all,
it once they
yeah.
can find a good time, or maybe you can get the when the trainers are here to give us a demo. I'd like to see a little bit more about that, because I'd like to see how, you know, what you're teaching the kids at that. Because it seems like a pretty important critical thinking.
Wouldn't that be great to have a board presentation of having some of our teachers? They can even like look at our agenda and utilize one of the maps for that.
That would be good, yeah, because I want to see it in action, right?
Yeah.
Because it's one thing to describe it, I'm having a little difficulty managing what all those components are. But I think if I had a little bit more visual, it would help.
Absolutely.
So if that's possible, maybe at a good time, we could see that. Or who could do that for us?
Oh, you're gonna have to,
Yeah.
Do we have any teachers that have already been trained?
So I did ask that question when they came back of, do I have any teachers who are previously thinking maps trained? And I did not hear. I was surprised. It's a pretty common training, but that's okay. I think they're gonna love it.
Opportunity.
Yeah.
Those are assets of the school, right?
Absolutely.
Books.
Yes, so we check them out and leave them at the school.
Okay, close. That's great. Okay, all right, is there a motion? Thank you, David. Is there a second? Thank you, Molly. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say nay. Hearing none, it passes. Okay, moving next to the Executive Director's Report.
Okay, this one will be brief. I do, again, I really want to thank the whole IIA community. I want to thank our board for your participation with the Week of Welcome, support, all the time that you put in, our staff, our parents, our students, even like our PTO, the working relationship. It's been a really exciting, positive start to the school year. And I've had several people comment that they can feel, you know, kind of this happiness and routines and just how smoothly things are going. So I want to thank everyone, because it really does take a team for sure. Again, the start of the school year, our teachers have really been focusing on those routines and classroom management so that children are able to learn. And children like working within routines as well when they know what's expected. Our Week of Welcome was fun. It was, 7 days of events, from new staff orientation to Aries trainings on our new components. We did training classroom management. We had community building. I want to thank PTO for sponsoring breakfast. I'd like to thank the Delgado family for sponsoring a full lunch one of the days, a taco guy there. It was just a very positive way. We had a Hawaiian theme. And we just tried to mix it up, having fun. In between presentations, we modeled engagement strategies, because just like our kids don't like to just sit all day in one place, neither do adults. So we modeled that. Orientation was very positive. We had a huge turnout, both to the presentations, but we tried to mix it up a little bit by having the teachers outside with tables, and we'll continue to grow on that. But when I was able to get outside in between the presentations, just the buzz, the overall kind of vibe was very happy and positive. People enjoyed being here, and that's important. Our enrollment, I think Mr. Schmitter touched on that. We are currently at 595, but we are going to our wait list. We're monitoring it very closely. So just so you know, we do have some openings, and we're working hard on filling them. And then finally, I did want to bring full circle the handbooks, both the staff handbook and the student handbook from the last meeting, because we did bring those to legal as suggested by the board. The changes to the staff handbook were minimal. We asked them to look at it through compliance, and they were very minimal wording changes. And because it was approved with the caveat that we brought it forward, we decided that it didn't need to come back to the board for reapproval, and we had we asked their legal department if they would agree with that, and they said yes, although they don't usually make board decisions, they were like, we don't see any reason why it would need to come back. They did give some suggestions, however, for next year, and so with our new HR director, we have kind of written down all those suggestions, and as we develop the handbook for next year, we'll look at adding some sections, and we'll bring it earlier for review. When looking at the student handbook, both Mr. Schmitter and I looked at all of the pieces, and a lot of them were just listing of ed code, and so we did list those out, but it really isn't open for interpretation. But what I'd like to do for next year, and we talked about it, is taking the whole handbook back for legal review and just saying what are some pieces, especially because there are things that change all the time, especially with ed code and things like that. So we did our due diligence with that, but because the board did approve those, as long as there weren't any major compliance issues, we felt comfortable moving forward. And we'll get those done a little bit earlier next year and make sure they go to legal before we bring them forward. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Moving next to director's reports. Floor is open.
Real easy. You know, I was looking at the budget. I know I talked about this already earlier, but I noticed that at the beginning of the year, fund balance was actually negative, 500,000, right? And so, considering where we started to where we are today, at the end of that year, right? It's even better than I thought previously. So, just a lot of kudos. A lot of people working very hard there to make that happen. You know, and we're on a good step forward, so we need to keep doing that. You know, and I see nothing but positives coming from that. The only thing I have to add is, unfortunately, I missed the first day of school. The first time in 5 years, I missed the first day of school. I'd like to be here when that happens. But everything seems very positive, and all the reports that I get, you know, a lot of good things happening, and that's from, of course, you and Grant working, and the team working together very hard. The one thing I am not missing is all the PTO activity, because my wife is now president of the PTO, and I have a list of things that I'm supposed to be doing for that I'm volunteering for the PTO. So just to let you know, they have a lot of good things planned, so really looking forward to that engagement in the community there with the PTO and stuff like that. So yeah, I got nothing but good thoughts here. Thank you.
Yeah, I wonder if we can do a comparison, you know, in terms of the growth and measuring the student body growth versus revenue. I'll be interested to see if there's a correlation. Okay, just a comment. Yeah, you know, talking about getting school, you know, into a new school year, I probably miss a lot of actions. I wish I could be here more often and to really kind of feel the dynamics, feel the energy. So I'll try to be here more often. And you know, one thing I want to kind of comment on. I recall over the course of the board meetings, we approved a lot of, revised a lot of policies and things, all kinds of policies. I wonder how do they implement that? Because we have more and more new staff coming in, and do they get a regular training and to go over some of the documents?
Yes, so because there were so many board policies that were previously approved, I get a list each month from Orange County Department of Ed to really look at what we need to submit. And then because for example, our independent study board policy was approved in March of 2025, I brought that to OCDE and said, okay, does this still qualify or do I need to bring it back? And they said this is good for now. There is a new piece that's coming about attendance recovery, and so once we get some legal consideration for that, we'll go ahead and do that. But one of the things that I think when you said implementation, working with the cabinet, and we even had examples today, as we are making decisions, it's always important to pull the board policy
Yeah.
and look at what is our board policy, as well as I am also training people to look to the charter. Some of the things aren't in the charter, but they might be in board policy or the other way around, but really kind of looking at, here's what's been approved, and so that's going to help with our decision making.
Yeah, because, if I take a look at the regular retention policy, right? I mean, typically it pertains to the staff, not necessarily to all the teachers. But sometimes, if you have policies or old, like handbooks or whatever, and, how often you go back to ask the staff, all the staff to dispose of the old stuff, old documents electronically or in hard copy and implement the new ones.
Agreed, yes. Yeah, it's all about making sure
Okay.
everything aligned, and keeping in mind when you change one piece, it's conflicting information still available somewhere else, that we have to go back and just kind of make sure everything's working together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And go along with that, I remember you mentioned that for the new teachers or any new regulation, you kind of remind them, right? Bring it up together. So the new teachers, they do know they have to go through that book and stuff. And just thank you again, Dr. Henry. All the reports are just so positive. And I truly look forward. I would like to spend more time this year, try to come as many times as possible and get to know the kids and get to know the new teachers. So look forward to hearing from you. And thank all the staff and all the teachers. I can see the hard work. And yeah, it's amazing.
Thanks, I know I said a lot earlier, so I probably won't rehash all of that.
Yeah, it's good, it's good.
I saw a request earlier to change our September board meeting date to the 23rd. So moving it from September 16th to September 23rd. Is that okay? Okay, so we'll move it to the 23rd, barring any
I was waiting.
changes, yeah. That's our only conflict, right? Meetings at the spring. Okay. All right. Moving on to adjournments. Recommend the board adjourn the regular meeting of the Irvine International Academy Board of Directors on August 19, 2025. Is there a motion? Thank you, David. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Felipe. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say nay. Hearing none, it passes. Meeting adjourned. Is it 9?